everyone, and welcome to another speed build. This time I thought I'd do something interesting and try and rebuild one of the two houses that I grew up in as a kid. This particular one is in the city, so we're using San Myshuno, of course. And I picked the one lot in this map that is actually a house. So that would be the old salt house. So I'm actually from Baltimore, Maryland, so this is actually going to be my attempt at building a Baltimore row home in a lot that's really not meant for it. So, you know, the scale is a little off in some places, but it's okay. We'll deal with it. For this build in particular, I will try and chime in places where like scale was a problem or, you know, explanation might be needed. So those will be the times when I will pick up the voiceover and try and explain some of the things that I did. I started out at the front of the house, which is the front steps and the the porch. This house is actually my parents' house, and it's got a pretty sizable front porch with two really large windows in the front. So we didn't really have any windows in the game, even with CC, that were the right kind of window. So I just kind of like did what I could here. But yeah, it's got a pretty big front porch, and then there are railings on the sides, just like I put, except for the only difference being that those railings would connect to, like, they would be shared between this house and the house next door. It's the only difference. I did end up having to build the whole house on a platform to make the porch work. And there's some little platform bits that are kind of weird. Like this little box here towards the front door is the entryway. It is closed off by doors. You have to walk in, you know, one door to get into the house and into that little space, and then you step up into the rest of the house, at which point you have to go through a second door. So yes, there are two doors really close together, and there's a step up, and if you forget that it's there, it's really easy to kind of like, you know, knock your shin on the step and hurt yourself, because it's not wood. Inside the house is not wood. It's kind of, I don't know, it's like a hard, like porcelain type material on those steps inside the house. So yeah, you can really knock your shin, and if you're not paying attention, because when you kick it, it hurts. So I was trying to get the layout of the house, especially the steps. Over the course of this, you'll see I left in quite a bit of it, but I did not leave in all of it. I end up struggling with these steps quite a few times for a couple reasons. One being the steps in my parents' house have two landings, kind of like you can see here. And the other being that, unlike where I live now, which is Texas, Maryland has basements in most houses. And the way the steps are down to the basement, they're kind of up under that second landing that goes from like halfway up to the second floor. There's steps under that go down into the basement, and the Sims won't let you put, like, you know, steps over steps. So, after fiddling with these stairs for quite a while, this is actually pretty close to the way the stairs are. It's not exact, but it's pretty close. I ended up putting like a ladder under there to be the steps to the basement, because there wasn't another way to do it. So this sliding door situation that I have there, that's not exactly how the door is. It's more like it slides, it goes into like hollowed out walls. So it doesn't kind of like do that accordion thing on the sides. But that door was the closest was as close as I could get. So that's why that is there, which is a good thing, because, you know, if anyone listening and watching lives in an older house, you know, sometimes the insulation is not the best. So a lot of the times those doors are closed in the wintertime to just kind of keep heat towards the front of the house, instead of, you know, like you make the space that you're heating smaller, because it's a little bit more efficient. What else? What are we doing now? Yeah, this layout was weird. My parents' house has a small yard on the back, and it's like straight behind it. But once I put like all the rooms in, there was no space behind it. So that's why some of this fiddling is happening. Because I was trying to figure out a way to fit like the little tiny like postage stamp of grass, and I ended up putting it on this side eventually. And here you can, this is where I started cutting things, because I was trying to get actual stairs under there and it just was not working. So we ended up going with a ladder because that was the only way I could put something kind of like up under the stairs, the way it actually is, since we don't have that kind of functionality for building in The Sims. So this is me just placing windows. That's a weird window right there. It's in the bathroom, and it's literally like on the other side of the shower. So like the only time you could see that window on the side of the house is if you're actually like actively in the shower. But you know, I was trying to be realistic with this one, as much as I can. I have lived in Texas for quite a while now, so a lot of this was by memory, and my memory was starting to fail me, especially since I'm sure, you know, like I haven't lived in the house in a really long time because like I'm grown and I have kids of my own. So a lot of things have been changed around, because they didn't have to worry about space for me anymore or space for my kids. So there's that. But this is kind of like the best that I could do, like by memory and such. This back end that we're working on now is actually the kitchen. It was actually an addition onto the house. So one, it's not insulated at all. It's basically like walking outside. And two, it does step down and have that little step there that I use the platform to put in. That is actually accurately how that little kitchen is. It's outside, as in the wintertime, you basically would go into the kitchen, turn the oven on, and then like crack the oven door open so let it heat up, because that was how you'd heat the kitchen, and then turn around and walk back out for like 15 minutes so that it would not be like literally standing outside in the snow. It's I don't know why that was the choice. It's just kind of like they built onto the back of the house and did absolutely no weatherproofing, no insulation, nothing. So for this part, this is actually the layout of my parents' room on the front end of the house. And I actually had to go like on like Google and look at the like street view of the house, because it, you know, it doesn't look exactly the same from the inside as it does from the outside. And like, how often am I like on the second floor outside of the house? But I did try and concentrate on getting the outside of the house correct before we started the inside of the house, especially these roofs on the front over the porch. I figured that would be a little bit of doing, because you know there's columns and such, and the columns act a little wonky on these platforms. So yeah, there's that. And then this bit that I'm doing now, these are actually real, like for real. They're actually windows into the basement. But because this is a platform, I can't put windows on it. So yeah, that's what it is. They're from the basement. They just look like really high windows, but yeah. So I had to put something there. Like the idea was, you know, pretend these are windows basically. And the columns, you know, those are pretty accurate because I'm pretty sure they are, brick columns. Those are CC actually. But they were the closest thing I had to use at the time. And this is actually pretty accurate as to what the front of the house looks like. Like that, the second floor doesn't extend all the way over the porch. But that's fine. And here we are with more stairs. I put the second floor on the house without realizing that it got rid of the stairs. I actually didn't even notice until I came back to the build and I was like, where are the stairs to go to the second floor? And then when I came back in editing, that's when I noticed when I put the second floor on, it got rid of the stairs. So this is my second attempt at getting the stairs in. It kind of works. Like it's a little better. There's a space at the foot of the stairs that I did try and kind of put in there to be somewhat functional that I didn't have space for before. So, but like, as you can see, whenever you put a platform in, like it gets rid of not the windows, the walls and everything. And it just becomes kind of a pain in the butt. So yeah, so you have to like rebuild your walls. I do not know why platforms do that. And I thought eventually that would be fixed, but no, this is just life now. So that's just how this is gonna work. So it ended up being some some finagling, trying to get the platforms at the right height and not make the stairs too tall. But it's pretty accurate. I do not like the way the fencing doesn't like connect to the banisters for the stairs, but there's nothing I could do about that. So, here we are. You see that one last try and do this without a ladder, and it's just not going to work. Not the way The Sims won't allow us to put stuff under stuff, like stairs under stairs and that kind of thing. So we're back to the ladder, which is fine. And I believe I've got just about all the walls in. Yeah, I've got all the walls in. Most of the doors, not all of them. Like the second floor, I don't think there's doors at all. But everywhere I'm putting in doors here, there are doors. There are doors in places like in modern builds, you don't really see like there's a door leading to the hallway to the back of the house. It's just a hallway. It's the hallway and what used to be the kitchen before the extension was built onto the house. Why there's a door, I don't know. This room that I'm doing right now was my bedroom, and yes, it has 2 doors. Why does it have 2 doors that lead to the same hallway? I don't know, but one is sliding and one is not, so that's actually accurate. And then we finally got to the point where I can start putting things in. I realized when I was coming back on this that this green toned furniture is not the furniture that's in the living room anymore. It's the furniture that was in there like pretty much my entire childhood. And I didn't go back and change it. I was like, no, we're just going to leave it. It was like a deep forest green. The couch needs to be the same kind of color green as the chair, but I didn't have that option. And this was kind of as close as I could get. So there's a couple things in here that you can see I basically kind of like cheated to get in there because I had to. And I don't know. I can't remember what they call them in The Sims, but my entire life I've called those things break fronts, where you put like, dishes and stuff in there. There's 2 of them in this house because there's 2 of them in my parents' house. And they're large, and we only had one option for a pretty large break front. So that's why those are in there. This is the living room. This house, while sizable, does not have 2 living rooms. It has like a living room, a dining room, a room that just has stuff in it that like you'll see in a second, and a kitchen. I don't know why it's just like when they built the extension onto the house, they just kind of left a bonus room, and it just ended up being the room like that you walk through to get to the kitchen that has all the stuff. Like that's basically what it ended up being, and that's what I left it as. I didn't make it anything else because it was like, no, we're being accurate here. This is how the house that I grew up in was, and that's just what we're gonna do. So there's a lot going on here because there's a lot of lifting stuff up here. There's a lot of plants in this build. And there's a lot of books in this build, mainly because my mom likes plants and my mom reads lots of books. Like she's one of those people who used to take me to the library once a week, and we would both check out like 15 books. And a week later we would go take them all back because she'd read them all. Like this is an accurate depiction of like how my mom reads books. So that's why there's like books everywhere and, plants everywhere. There's also stuff everywhere. There's a lot of clutter in my parents' house. I did not put as much clutter in this build that, like, to be realistic as to how my parents' house was, because we'd be here all day, and I just don't have the patience for it. So, but this living room here is actually pretty accurate, except for that ceiling light, which I'm pretty sure I changed out. And then this entry hallway is actually kind of accurate, except for this part. There's a piano in my front hall, and it's not like the grand pianos that take up the whole thing. It's like an upright piano, kind of like this pipe organ, and the pipe organ or the electronic keyboard thing was like the only things that we had that were the right size. So there's a pipe organ. Just pretend it's an upright piano, because there's an upright piano in our front hall. Okay. And then this table is in a really weird place, but there is a table at the foot of the stairs. It is where the landline phone would normally be. We don't have landline phones in this game, so I just put stuff on the table because the table's still there. It's just at the foot of the stairs, chilling, taking up space. But this is just an entry hall. Like there's literally nothing else here except for like a place to put your stuff down. There's a small table. There's the piano, which honestly has so much stuff on it that it might as well be a table. And then there's stairs. That's it. The only thing that's missing is that the stairs to the basement are walled off with a door. But because I had to use the ladder and everything like that to kind of make things look more accurate, I could not wall it off. Well, I could, but no, I couldn't, because the stairs would get in the way and it wouldn't like that. So this is the formal dining room that we're working on right now. It is larger than it is in this build, but like I said, it's more of a scale thing. I just didn't have enough space. Okay, it was trying to fit it on this lot, so some of the rooms are a little bit smaller. Also, my mom's dining room table is ginormous. It's one of those ones that you like pull apart and you put the extra leaf in to fit an extra 2 seats in that table, and we just do not have that in the Sims. So I picked one that was shaped similarly and put that in here, and then just tried to kind of get the rest of the room together. Like that random armchair in the corner, there is an armchair in the corner of the dining room. It holds like coats and stuff basically. There is this little side table in the dining room, and there is a large mirror hanging over it, and has been for a while. So like I was trying to be accurate. It's just more the spacing that is wrong. I have been talking for like 15 minutes, y'all. I do not talk this much. Okay, so I'm gonna shut up for a second, and I'll come back through the next time I had to do something weird on this build.
Don't test my patience, I'm trying to pace it. You kept me waiting, I try to pray for you. I try to pray for you. I try to pray for you. Pray for you, for you, for you. I try to pray for you, for you. I try to pray for you, for you. I try to pray for you, I try to pray for you. I try to pray for you. Even when there's nothing, you always make up something. You know I try to pray for you. Even when we're touching, you always make a fuss. Okay, I'm patient. Don't test my patience. I'm trying to pace it. You kept me waiting. I try to pray for you. Okay, I'm patient. It cannot wait 'cause you test my patience. I try to pray for you, for you, for you. I try to pray for you.
Okay, that didn't last long. All right, so this is that weird bonus room I was talking about. There is a second table in there. It is a very large table, and we do not have very large tables. Like, we have long tables, but not like this. So that's why there's 2 tables next to each other. Like, that was really the only way that I could get it in here. There are also chairs around this table that you can't, like, your sim wouldn't be able to get to, but it works out fine because honestly we don't ever sit at this table. I really think the only reason this table is still in the house is because it's furniture, and my parents didn't want to get rid of the furniture because, like, there's nothing wrong with it. They just had 2 tables. So yeah, that's what's going on here. This wall unit is not actually a wall unit. It's like a long, narrow table, but it's like a table, like a floor table. It's not on the wall. And there was a lot over here that I just could not do. There's only one table in this like little corner situation here normally, but it does have a coffee maker on it. Problem being, in The Sims, coffee makers can only go on certain like surfaces. Like, you can't just put it on any surface. It will tell you it won't, and it's not like a testing cheats thing or anything. It just will not let you put it there. So that's how we ended up with the second table. I'm not really sure why the coffee maker is in this room instead of the kitchen. Well, yes, I am. There's not really space for it in the kitchen. The kitchen is really tiny. So I guess it does make more sense. This is like the closest room to an office in the house, and it's, well, I guess it was used as an office like when I was there, like if I had to type up papers or something. I think my dad has been kind of using it as an office, but like he has a laptop now, so he can be mobile, so he doesn't have to sit back here in a room that is literally just like a desk and an extra bonus table that has clutter all over it. I did not clutter up this table, the second table here. One, I'm not sure it would let me because it's really just kind of two tables cheaty stuck together. And two, there's just a lot of stuff on that table, a lot of like, paperwork that you would normally like file away somewhere or something like that. So I was like, I'm not doing that. Like I like clutter as much as the next person, but not just like clutter for the sake of clutter. And that's basically what this would be. So I ended up just trying to make it as accurate as I could, which is why like you see like these chairs that you can't get to them. They're not going to work properly, but that's fine because nobody sits at this table because all that's on it is stuff. So like that part of it is accurate. It's just a lot more cluttered. This back room, it could be an extra bedroom, but there's a lot of stuff back there. And that's why I was using these boxes. Like, so the way it was explained to me, because you'll see later, there's like a counter space and like a sink back here. And I always thought that was just really random for there to be like in a back bedroom on the second floor of the house. Apparently, when my mom was younger, this is my grandmother's house actually, and it's been passed down, and it used to be split into like apartments. So this back room was the kitchen for that second apartment, and nobody ever took the plumbing out of there. So like there's an extra bed back there. There's a whole bed back there. And that's it. Like no one ever sleeps back there or anything. No one really ever goes back there unless like there's something in a box somewhere that you haven't seen in 6 months and you're looking for it. But as far as the layout goes, this is totally accurate. That door there off to the left that you can see is kind of halfway blocked by those boxes. Goes out onto like a little back porch kind of sorta that looks out over the tiny backyard and into the alley. So like all of that's accurate. There's nothing out on that balcony. It's just there. So yeah, that's why this is like that. This bathroom is oddly large, but that's exactly how it is in the house. The only thing I can get right in here is like, so it has the old school bathtub like I put in, but it's got a connected shower, and we don't have, I don't think we had, oh wait, yes we do. I could probably change that out. It has like the old school like clawfoot hardcore bathtub that's made out of like porcelain with a shower attached to it. And then this is me putting together my room, which eventually kind of got passed down to my youngest. When I first moved to Texas, she actually went back to stay with her grandparents for a little while. So my room became her room, and she didn't really change anything. They just kind of left my room the way it was, and my daughter just kind of moved into it, and like that was just her room now. So yeah, this was my room through middle school, high school, and the very beginning of motherhood. I thought about putting 2 cribs in here because there were 2 cribs. One was up against the foot of the bed, and then one was against that wall. So there was kind of like that one square walkway that would be there. But I didn't because, things aren't fitting the way, like it wouldn't fit. Everything else in here minus that is accurate. I think I actually had to move the chair out of the room when I put in the second crib for my youngest. But that's fine. So yeah, everything else in here is pretty accurate, and I've once again just run out of stuff to say. So I'm gonna shut up and we're just gonna keep on watching the second floor go up.
Even when we're touching, you always make a fuss. Okay, don't test my patience. I'm trying to pace it. You kept me waiting. I try to pay for you. I try to pray for you. pray for you, for you, for you. I try to pray for you, for you. I try to pray for you, for you. I try to pray for you, I try to pray for you. I try to pray for you, even when there's nothing. You always make up something. You know I try to pray for you, even when we're touching. You always make a fuss. Okay, I'm patient. Don't test my patience. I'm trying to pace it. You kept me waiting. I try to pray for you. Okay, I'm patient. It cannot wait 'cause you test my patience. I try to pray for you, for you, for you. I try to pray for you, for you, for you. I try to pray for you. I try to pray for you. I try to pray for you, for you, for you. I try to pray for you, for you. I try to pray for you, for you. I try to pray for you. I try to pray for you, for you, for you. I try to pray for you, for you, for you. I try to pray for you, for you, for you. I try to pray for you, for you. I try to pray for you, try to pray for you, even when there's nothing. You always make up something. You know I try to pray for you, even when we're touching. You always make a fuss. Okay, I'm patient. Don't test my patience. I'm trying to pace it. You kept me waiting. I try to pray for you. I try to pray for you. I try to pray for you. I try to pray for you, for you, for you. I try to pray for you, for you. I try to pray for you, for you. I try to pray for you. I pray for you, even when there's nothing. You always make up something. You know I try to pray for you, even when we're touching. You always make a fuss. Okay, I'm patient. Don't test my patience. I'm trying to pace it. You kept me waiting. I try to pray for you. Okay, I'm patient. It cannot wait 'cause you test my patience. I try to pray for you, for you, for you. I try to pray 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 for you, for you, for you. I try to pray 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 for you. I pray for you, for you, for you. I try to pray for you, for you, for you. I try to pray for you, for you, for you. I try to pray for you, for you. I try to pray for you, try to pray for you, even when there's nothing. You always make up something. You know I try to pray for you, even when we're touching. You always make a fuss. Okay, I'm patient. Don't test my patience. I'm trying to pace it. You kept me waiting. I try to pay for you. I try to pray for you.
Okay, so this kitchen has several really weird things going on with it, and like yeah, in the build, but like really just kind of in general. So the table I'm placing right now is like connected to the wall, and it has a leaf that folds down in front of it, so like if you open the table up, it takes up most of the kitchen. So like it's an actual table, that's why I put chairs there, but you'll see in a second I ended up having to take that table out of there because that table in my parents' kitchen holds the microwave, and the microwave, much like the coffee maker, is one of those things that you can only place on a certain kind of table. So the rest of the weirdness about this room, I'm just gonna kind of explain it as we go along because it's a lot. But yeah, so we're moving on to some wall work. This was actually to a different like building session, and I didn't go back to the kitchen immediately. I started doing walls and stuff. So when we get back to some weird stuff, then I'll chime back in.
I try to pray for you. I try to pray for you. Pray for you, for you, for you. I try to pray for you, 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 for you, for you. I try to pray for you, for you, for you. I try to pray for you, for you, for you. I try to pray for you, for you. I try to pray for you, try to pray for you. Even when there's nothing, you always make up something. You know I try to pray for you. Even when we're touching, you always make a fuss. Okay, I'm patient. Don't test my patience. I'm trying to pace it. You kept me waiting. I try to pray for you. I try to pray for you. I try to pray for you. Pray for you, for you, for you. I try to pray for you, for you. I try to pray for you, for you. I try to pray for you, I try to pray for you. I pray for you. Even when there's nothing, you always make up something. You know I try to pray for you. Even when we're touching, you always make a fuss. Okay, I'm patient. Don't test my patience. I'm trying to pace it. You kept me waiting. I try to pray for you. Okay, I'm patient. It cannot wait 'cause you test my patience. I try to pray for you, for you, for you. I try to pray for you, for you, for you. I try to pray for you. I try to pray for you. I try to pray for you, for you, for you. I try to pray for you, for you. I try to pray for you. I try to pray for you. try to pray for you, for you, for you. I try to pray for you, for you, for you. I try to pray for you, for you.
So I'm doing this voiceover as I am editing this, and I'm probably gonna cut a good chunk of this out. So this is really fiddly. There's a like decorative fireplace in my parents' room, and because of the whole scale situation, I was trying to fit it in, but it was really hard to because there's a really tiny closet. Like the closet that's in here right now is not accurate. It's like half that size. So eventually I did try and put something smaller there to indicate a closet, which ended up being this cabinet here, in the hopes that I could also fit this kind of decorative fireplace in there. And that's why there's a lot of fiddly bits happening here. I did try and make it look like it, but it's not really accurate. Like it's a really ornate fireplace as far as like above it. Like the actual fireplace is really plain like this, but the area above it doesn't have like a mirror or anything, but it's got kind of like, ornate type things happening above it, and we don't really have anything in The Sims that could do that. So I just kind of, winged it here with like putting a picture behind it to make it look a little nice on that wall. And then the other thing I completely did not chime in to say, but those two dressers to the left there, pretend that's just one giant dresser. There's not a dresser big enough to be the size dresser that's in my parents' room. It's friggin' huge. So I put two of them next to each other. That's why I did that. But this is also me trying to put something fancy over top of it. Because like I said, we don't really have anything like that. And it's very decorative. And there's like stuff on top of the mantle, like as a shelf. But I was not cluttering all of this, guys. If I was like accurate with the amount of clutter that's in this house, we would be here for hours and hours. And it was like, I am not going to be here like that. So it took me a while to settle on what to do and make sure it wasn't clipping through the wall and all that stuff. But that's kind of what was going on here. It was me trying to make it accurate and kind of to scale. Sort of, kind of, a little, I was improvising, y'all. Just, deal with it.
Pray for you, I pray for you. Even when there's nothing, you always make up something. I try to pray for you. Even when we're touching, you always make a fuss. Okay, I'm pushing, don't test my patience. I'm trying to pace it. You kept me waiting. I try to pray for you. I try to pray for you.
Okay, y'all, don't judge me for my bright pink curtains. I decorated this room once when I was in like middle school, and I never did it again. So my curtains stayed pink, although it was like a paler pink. Anyway, I'm putting this picture up in my room because I needed to put something there. So in my room, there's a picture of, we've totally moved on, but it's fine. A picture that my aunt made me of my name in cross stitch, and it hangs on the wall where I put that picture. So I put something there as a representation. So now we're back down to the kitchen. This is part of the weirdness. So I put that that ladder in there because I can't remember whether I said this before, but so the kitchen was an addition onto the house. So you know how in like those old school movies where there was an outdoor entrance to the basement that was just like this door in the ground that you opened up and out? Okay, so that's what this kitchen was built over, a door like that. And so in my parents' kitchen, there's a door like that. And that's what that staircase was supposed to represent. And yes, it is fully functional. It's just a little precarious getting up and down. So I didn't put a lot in the basement, as you saw, mainly because, you know, that clutter of like the boxes and stuff that I put up on the second floor in that back bedroom, you have to multiply that by times like 50. That's the basement, minus the fact that there's a washer, dryer, and sink down there. So that's all you got. This is the backyard. So realistically speaking, it doesn't go out to the side like this. It's directly behind the house. But as you can see, this lot doesn't have enough space. So for the sake of space, this is going around the side. I call this the postage stamp because it is the tiniest bit of grass ever. Like when I used to have to like mow the lawn, I guess it's not really a lawn, it's in the back of the house, but like it was like 20 minutes. I could do the whole thing with a weed whacker. But other than the fact that it's on the side, this is actually pretty accurate. It's a small patch of grass. There is a step with the trash can on it. There are rose bushes. They are my grandmother's, and, you know, passed down to my mom. So now they're my mom's roses, and they are directly next to the little step where the trash can goes. So like all of this is proper. It's just kind of like this little, I don't know, area of greenery, I guess, directly next to the trash can that just happens to have a rose bush that has somehow flourished. But yeah, so that's what we got here. There is a clothesline out back. We used to use it in the summertime, just not in the winter, because while I currently live in Texas, I am from Baltimore, where there actually is winter. If you put your clothes out there while they're wet, they'll freeze. So I wanted to distinguish this little patch of grass somehow. So that's why I'm putting kind of this thicker grass in there to distinguish it from the rest of the space here, which is like that weird flat grass that The Sims has going on. And then there are some worn spots. The general path we take, definitely. The pathing under the, what is this thing called? I just said it, clothesline. There we go. Under the clothesline, definitely, because, you know, that's where our feet are most of the time in this yard. So I did make sure to put that in there. And yes, the grass is definitely shorter on that pathing. But that's really about all that's in the backyard. There's nothing else. It's just a fence and a concrete path that leads out into the back alley. Ta-da! So that's what you got here. The fence isn't actually quite that tall, but that's kind of the closest we have to like that, like inner city chain link fencing. I figured that was probably as close as we were going to get. So now we're going to go ahead and take a look at the shots of the inside. And thank you for joining me on this trip through my childhood. If you've made it this far, I would love to have you as a subscriber. Please go ahead and like the video and click to subscribe. And I will be back next week with another video.